All right. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining another Public Policy Talks on this Thursday morning. We're going to have an energetic conversation this morning. We got a special invited guest talking about an event tomorrow night. I see you, Montoya, out there. We got you coming up. Appreciate you being on this morning. All right, y'all. As I always said, I'm going to say this, make sure I say this almost every week, if not every week. It's a lot going on in public policy where we're going to touch on a few points. We're going to touch on some very positive points coming down from DC, y'all. Some very positive point coming down from the White House, I will say. So we're going to get into it. We're going to be on both sides this morning. Going to be an interesting conversation. We have a national presence here. Also, we have a very special guest that I'm going to be introducing momentarily into the call. But we're almost underway. The time is 8:32 a.m. Let me get my chat open. I'm going to try my best to watch this chat, see what's going on. All right, y'all. Thank y'all for coming. My name is Markee Tate. Advancing Black Businesses Foundation is your educational public policy advocacy organization. We are looking to get you in line with the latest news, the latest happenings in public policy. Now, we want you to know the news. Not able to cover it all, but we have the Public Policy Pulse with Raquel. That's going to be coming up in just a moment, and we're going to cover as many topics as we can. And we're going to put, of course, in the chat, we'll have links going in the chat. But this is National Black Business Month. National Black Business Month. I got a surprise for you on the call. I actually mentioned this person, Mr. John Templeton, the founder, is with us this morning. So you'll be hearing from him shortly, Mr. John Templeton. We're looking forward to that great conversation you're going to give us. Also, this is National Philanthropic Month. Raquel, if you could put that in the chat, we love our donations. Thank you so much for the ones who have supported our organization to now. We really appreciate your financial support, but we cannot stop there. So please donate to Advancing Black Businesses Foundation. We are a 501c3 public policy educational advocacy organization. And we will be going to DC with our Atlanta Black Chamber members. We're here also serving the Atlanta Black Chambers and its membership base. We're going to DC September the 25th through September the 28th. It's our DC fly-in. We have an Eventbrite that talks about the details of it. We're almost at capacity, so if you want to go, please sign up as soon as possible. We have a host hotel, and we're actually going to be releasing those rooms sometime soon. Our host hotel is the actual official Congressional Black Caucus Foundation host hotel. Also, it's official hotel of the conference. So we were able to actually get in early. That's been our host hotel for the past 4 years. So it's a great hotel within walking distance of the Walter E. Washington Convention Center. Walter E. Washington Convention Center. Montoya Smith, we have the mental dialogue going on. I wanted to bring you on for about 2 minutes to talk about mental dialogue. Montoya has invited me to be one of the speakers. I'm going to speak for 5 minutes on a particular topic. And I'm understanding what's going on too, Montina, but tell us a little bit spend about 2 minutes to tell us what's going on tomorrow night. You out there, Montoya? I saw you a moment ago.
Montoya, you will have to unmute and come back on the camera. Thank you.
There you go.
It wouldn't let me. So, all right, I'm unmuting now, but it won't let me come on camera for some reason. It says cannot start video because it's disabled by host.
Wow. Okay.
So I don't mind talking. I'm just letting you know that's where you can't see me though. It says I cannot for some reason. Okay.
Oh man. Okay. Sorry about that, Montoya.
Yeah, that usually doesn't happen. Just give me 1 second.
Okay.
Okay. So you can go ahead, and then I'm working on getting you back.
Okay, no problem. All right. Well, now thank you, Markee, for being on the Soapbox Dialogues. I have the smartest networking event in the city every third Friday at Urban Grind. It says I'm not gonna start it now. Okay, there we go.
There we go.
All right, cool, good stuff. All right, again, thanks once again. Every third Friday at Urban Grind, Black-owned coffee shop in Midtown, we have the Mental Dialogue live experience. It's an organic, intelligent networking referral community. And so we make a lot happen just from getting together once a month. I have different formats, so it's not the same thing every time you come. And so this particular month, Markee, you are one of our Soapbox Dialogue contestants, where we invite intellectuals from around the city to get on their soapbox, per se, 5 minutes of any issue they choose. We actually judge it and select a winner. And so, little donation might can go towards your policy if you win, go towards policy talks if you win tomorrow night. So I know you didn't know about that, but
I did not.
Yeah, absolutely,
Right,
absolutely.
Policy.
I'm sorry, what she say? I didn't hear what she said.
Let's go public policy.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And thank you to ABC. They're actually sponsoring tomorrow night. So a good opportunity to network, find out about ABC. I'm assuming everybody here is familiar with ABC. But if you know people who are not, a great opportunity. We just basically made networking fun and super organic. And we have conversations on race, sex, and culture, and that kind of draws a certain ilk of people, and we ultimately just end up trying to do business with each other. But also, like I said, come out and see Markee, get on this soapbox and support him. But we will judge it based on presentation, how well he supports his argument, and the relevancy to the African American community. So great time tomorrow night. We do this every third Friday. It's a donation and enter event. So you decide, what it's worth. A lot of people end up donating at the end because they realize this organic conversation with intelligent people focused on the progress of our community through critical thinking. Very unique thing to do. It's definitely a place where smart people love to go out on Friday, because in Atlanta, everything else is actually boring to them. So that's kind of how I would couch it. But thank you for being a part of it on Friday, Markee.
Hey,
all right, thank you, Montoya.
Drop that address real quick in the chat. People want to know where.
Yes, they are asking.
Okay, now absolutely. Go to mentordialogue.com is the easiest way. It'll actually pop up on the website and show you everything. But Urban Grind is at 962 Marietta Street, Northwest Atlanta, 30318. I'll actually drop a flyer in the chat as well. Thank y'all for the opportunity.
All right. Appreciate you, Montoya. Thanks a lot. Looking forward to tomorrow night. We'll see what happens. Look, I'm going to come in there swinging. Montoya. Absolutely. All right, y'all. Public policy pulse with Raquel. Wanted to bring that up because we want to touch some of the hot topics that are going on even last week and up until now. So Raquel, I'll let you take it away.
All right. Good morning, good people. This is Raquel Hill, and this is your weekly edition of Public Policy Pulse, where we spotlight headlines that matter in Black-owned businesses, civic leaders, and the communities we serve. So let's get into this week's top stories, both nationally and here in Georgia. First up, the U.S. has revoked visas for officials from Africa, the Caribbean, and Brazil who were linked to Cuba's controversial medical labor program. This move signals shifting diplomatic alliances that could ripple into business and development partnerships around the globe. The National Urban League has officially declared a state of emergency for civil rights. They cite the combined impact of DEI rollbacks, voter suppression efforts, and massive cuts to the federal workforce as major threats to equity and economic opportunity. In an uplifting story, Kingford, the charcoal company, is launching a new campaign called Pass the Tongs in partnership with Morehouse College. This initiative celebrates culinary traditions and will provide real support and exposure for Black grilling entrepreneurs. On the economic front, the Biden administration has extended a pause on new tariffs for Chinese imports. This gives breathing room to small and mid-sized businesses that rely on international suppliers. And Markee will talk about this in depth. We'll discuss this later on during public policy talks. But in Texas, Republicans are pushing a mid-decade redistricting plan designed to add 5 new Republican congressional seats. Democrats and civil rights groups say this effort will dilute the voting power of Black and Hispanic communities. In protest, over 50 Democratic lawmakers left the state. The move has drawn national attention, raising critical questions about representation and fairness in American democracy. Now let's shift to what's going on here in Atlanta and Georgia. Right here in Atlanta, Black Restaurant Week is underway. Over 40 Black-owned eateries are being celebrated through August 17th. offering both visibility and increased business during a critical summer window. I'm gonna let these 10 people in real quick.
Okay.
Also in Atlanta, the Ke'nekt Cooperative is making waves. This Black-led worker co-op is offering microloans, digital tools, and a 20,000 square foot hub to help launch and scale Black-owned ventures. Capital B, Atlanta, continues its coverage of Black Business Month, featuring profiles and stories that help build trust, visibility, and support for local innovators. And in more complex headlines, Atlanta's housing first approach to homelessness is now under scrutiny from federal agencies. With the World Cup set to bring global attention to the city in 2026, there's a growing tension between local strategies and federal directives. So why do these headlines matter? Visa and trade policy shape our goal partnerships and access to materials. Equity rollbacks and workforce cuts disrupt the programs that many small businesses rely on. Cultural campaigns like the Kingsford Charcoal and local events like Black Restaurant Week amplify visibility and economic momentum. Texas redistricting fight is a warning sign. What happens in one state sets precedent and affects us all, especially when it comes to representation and political voice. And finally, how we manage housing and community planning today will determine whether or not our businesses and neighborhoods thrive tomorrow. So that wraps up this week's edition of Public Policy Talks. I'll be back next week with more news, insights, and updates that help us stay informed and stay ready. And back to you, Markee.
All right. Thank you, Raquel. We still have a few in the waiting room. I was a little slow with that, but thanks, Raquel, for that information to let everybody know some of the hot topics that are around in the news as it relates to public policy. Also, Raquel, we have the 4 news outlets from the AJC, the Black Enterprise Politics, rolling out news, and the GRIO. Could you post that in the chat for the also the expanded news that are more related to us? New Politics, switching gears, New Politics Leadership Academy has partnered with Advancing Black Businesses Foundation and the Atlanta Black Chambers. We are looking for you. If you are interested in getting into politics, that is running for political office, please let us know. Email me at markee@atlantablackchambers.org. Let us know. We want to get you in a special cohort that we are partnering with the New Politics Leadership Academy. This is something that we move forward a lot sooner as an organization, but ultimately we want to be there for our chamber members that are looking to get into public office or looking to run for public office. We want to actually eventually have a complete training program that will train you in the best ways, the best practices, and more importantly, the best ways to represent your Black community. But we're starting the process earlier than we thought because we received this grant from the New Politics Leadership Academy, and that's going to be some of the foundational trainings of that. So if you are interested in running for political office, we want to know. We want to help hold your hand in that process. Again, New Politics Leadership Academy. Also, thanks to Montina Young Frazier for that relationship and help spearheading these grant efforts and this cohort training program. Montina is actually running for office herself. She's running for a city council at large for the city of McDonough. So, all right, but moving on, last week we had our GSA schedule expert, Lynette Bryan, along with Paula Watts, our queen of federal contracting, talk about solutions. And John Templeton, in just a moment, is going to bring you some international solutions. He's going to talk about the National Black Business Week. Also, he's going to entertain you for several minutes. But I do want to touch on about 3 topics. One is what's hot in the news. Coming out of DC, you know, we'll be in DC on September the 25th for that CBC conference, but the National Guard is patrolling the streets of DC, and just want to give a very quick snapshot of that. The Section 740 of the Home Rule Act permits up to 30 days of federal control. That is initial days are 7 days, and it can be extended to 30 days. There are over 800 Initially, 800 National Guard troops were centered around the DC district, around the district. AG Pam Bundy and DA's Terry Cole is overseeing those efforts. The MPD chief still reports to the mayor, by the way, according to this research. The Trump cited crisis despite DOJ data showing violent crime record lows. Mayor Muriel Bowser addressed us at our dinner last year. We had a special dinner for our chamber members for the CBC, our DC CBC week. DC fly-in. Mayor Bowser was there talking about the city and talking about doing business with the city. But Mayor Bowser, as we know, as basically said, this is unsettling and unprecedented, but not surprising. So reaffirming local authority and structure for DC. Despite all of that, Mayor Bowser and her staff, the police chief, are working with the federal officials that are in DC, and they're cooperating with them, even though there's been somewhat of a little change. They have actually acknowledged there is some crime issues, but crime is down at a record low, and that's been actually promoted in many of our cities, including the city of Atlanta, Baltimore, Detroit, and several other cities, that the crime is down, drastically down. In some of those cities, there are record low crime in those areas. So I just wanted to bring you that real quick. I do want to tie into what Raquel mentioned, the Texas State House and Senate. The Governor Abbott called a special session, and that session actually ends. If you did not know, that session is scheduled to end on August the 19th. As you know, the House of Representative members have left the state and went to the state of New York. Many of them are in the state of New York. Many of them are in the city of Chicago, in the state of Illinois. Also, there needs to be at least 100 House of Representatives there to hold a quorum. So they are trying to hold out. So it looks like they may hold out until the 19th, and the governor will actually have to have call another special session, by the way. So, hey, let's see what happens. We're going to monitor that. I know in 2021, they had a special session on voting rights in the state, and you had many of those same Democrats left the state also to return. That law actually passed back in 2021. So I'm curious to see the outcome of this. They're looking, as Raquel stated, the Republicans are looking to add 5 seats, or at least have an advantage on adding 5 seats to the House. So I know I have some history there in Texas 30th Congressional District. I had 2 of my offices in that district and one just on the outside of that district. I was in the DeSoto area, Duncanville, and Oak Cliff, that South Dallas area. So I'm very familiar with Representative Jasmine Crockett's Texas 30th district, which they have reshaped that district. So it's just alarming to me of what goes on in redistricting and those firms that are working on those redistricting. I've looked more into that to just understand, because the state of Georgia went through this back in 2023, and if you didn't know, there's still going to be some type court ruling on the redistricting in this state. So we'll actually keep you abreast of that if anything actually comes from that. But also more on the positive side, everyone, as we, navigate through this political process from the federal level, there's always some good points that we can actually point out. I know from talking to Corey Henry, I don't know if you're out there, but from talking to you, I mentioned this a few weeks back, from talking to Corey Henry about the big, beautiful act that actually came out several weeks ago. Corey Henry encouraged me to look at the positives in legislation that's coming down. So I'm going to share my screen, Raquel, if I can. There's a major shift in policy going on. On August the 7th, actually last Thursday, there was democratizing access to alternative assets for 401k investors. And on the show 2 weeks ago, that was on July the 31st, I announced that I was invited to be on a coalition for safe and secure retirement. So we're going to be at the forefront of the policy shift in investing in 401ks. This is something that private equity, from my research, have been looking to have some type policy shift for decades now, for decades. So this is a major, major policy shift. So many wealthy Americans and government workers who participate in public pension plans can invest in or are the beneficiaries of investment in a number of alternative assets. Yet more than 90 million Americans participate in employer-sponsored defined contribution plans. The vast majority of these investors do not have the opportunity to participate either directly or through their retirement plans. So private equity means that this money can definitely filter down to our private businesses, There are some key points. There's an access gap. This executive order talks about. So this is a private market assets totaling in $13 trillion are projected to reach $18 trillion within this particular sector of 401k holders can invest in private equity. So this is truly starting that process. This is a major shift in policy, in capital. As we stated some time ago on this call, when we go up to DC, we have some priorities that we send in advance to the congressional leaders that we'll be meeting with. And at the top of that priority list is federal contracting, and it's somewhat interchangeable. What's at the true top is access to capital. Third is organizational funding, but that access to capital, this is another way that we can access that capital. I will have a op-ed that's coming out in support of this executive order, and in that op-ed, I'm talking about several points about how Black businesses and the Black community, Black workers in corporate America can capitalize off of these type returns that are coming from our private equity. So I wanted to mention that you'll hear more about this executive order. The DOL, Department of Labor, will be coming up with new guidelines or adjusting guidelines to start this process to let's see what's gonna happen here. We're gonna monitor this. We'll have a voice. With this executive order, everyone. As we talked about, the president office is an institution. We have to continue to communicate on certain measures. I will definitely say, and this is one positive measure that we're going to communicate what we want from this as a Black community and as Black businesses. So I wanted to bring that up again. That's an executive order that came out on August the 7th. We're going to monitor this. I'll be involved in this process with that coalition, that national bipartisan coalition, and we will be bringing back hopefully some good news in the future to come when it comes to private equity being invested into Black businesses. We will have a seat, at this table. Just wanted you to know that. But what I want to bring to you now, after we talked about this major shift in public policy when it comes to private equity and those dollars, John Templeton. John Templeton is the founder of the National Small Business Week. The National Small Business Week founder is on Public Policy Talks this morning. He's going to grace us with some great information. We're going to spend about 10 to 11, 12 minutes in gracing. Then we're going to open it up for comments. The time is 8:55. We generally open up for comments around or just after 9 o'clock. So we're somewhat running on time. Raquel, if you don't mind, could you read a portion of John's extensive bio? John's done a lot over the past many, many years, and we're going to take it over to you, John, in just a moment.
All right, guys, I'm going to read a little bit fast, so hold on. John Templeton, a distinguished historian and journalist, Templeton has been instrumental in preserving and promoting African-American history. As Afro-American White House correspondent, his coverage of President Gerald Ford's 1967 Black History Month proclamation contributed to the creation of Harlem's Schomburg Center. In 1979, he co-led the establishment of the nation's largest Black business National Historic District in Richmond, Virginia. Tracing his lineage back to Songhai Empire, he became history advisor to its ruler's descent. He negotiated a 2007 San Francisco gang truce that halted shooting for 2 years. Templeton's career spans being the first African-American editor of business newspapers, authoring 4 volumes, Our Roots Run Deep series, and leading major cultural projects such as the California African-American Freedom Trail and the Sergeant Johnson's National Museum of African Art. He founded the educational platform Reunion, edited by Sylvia Wintert and authored by a Reconstruction amendments trilogy, He has spoken at major historic commencements, served as a Presbyterian church leader, and advanced economic development as chair of the Central Brooklyn Economic Development Corporation, helping achieve major crime reduction in Brownsville. Honored with multiple awards, he is known as the Black Encyclopedia and founded the Journal of Black Innovation, National Black Business Month. He is now spearheading the Sergeant's 80 City Diaspora Initiative, which launched in January 2025. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for John Templeton.
Take it away, John. Thanks, Raquel.
Hello, Atlanta. As they mentioned in the National Urban League assessment, we are potentially facing the most difficult times that we could imagine. But I want to draw a parallel with 1861, because the most difficult times you could imagine in 1861 actually turned out to be the best times that we could embrace. So as we look at 5 years ago, when we were in a similar situation, we actually turned that into the best 5-year period economically in African-American history. So we want to talk about how we face the current challenges and achieve the kind of success that we want. As she mentioned, we do the State of Black Business Report every year. This is our 22nd year. The title of it is Reunion. We unveiled it at the Africa House, which is the headquarters of the African Union in Washington, D.C. And in our State of Black Business Report back in 2014 with the National Black Caucus of State Legislators, we created our 10 plan, the African American Economic Strategy. So what we're going to talk about today is how we build on the progress we've already made so that we actually achieve the goal of our 10 plan, which is a 10% share of US GDP by 2026. And if you got your calendar handy, that is next year. So we got a lot of work to do over this period. So last time I was in Atlanta, Raquel and Akita Patterson were kind enough to take me to a Black-owned bourbon bar where we were able to drink bourbon that was made by African-American businesses. So this sector really shows us the promise of what we can achieve. So when we started doing the State of Black Business Report, there were about 20 or so African Americans who had some wineries in Northern California, some doctors and some folks who had done well in various other businesses. In 2025, there are 600 African American spirits manufacturers in about 30 states. And so the most heavily regulated industry, the most capital intensive industry, and the industry where your capital is at risk for the longest are spirits. So you got to buy some land, plant some grapes, wait 15 years, and then, create some wine and sell it. And so we have found African Americans thriving in that industry and jumping into it headlong. And so this actually represents the keys to our success. So as you mentioned, my day job is being a historian. And what's notable about all those 600 brands is that they all have a story. They all have a story about their community, or about their family. Uncle Nearest, we have heard a lot about. So in 4 years, I guess 5 years now, Uncle Nearest has gone from an idea to $100 million in sales, just because of the story of the relative who was a master distiller. And so what we did last year in our State of Black Business report was we went to the 1930 census. And it was the first census that actually tracked Black businesses. And back in 1930, there were 1 million African-American farmers. So you had a description for every county in the country of who the Black farmers were, what they grew, how many cows and pigs and goats they had, what kind of implements they had, that sort of thing. And so we have a real picture of the provenance of where Black communities were. Now, we've had 2,000 Black communities that have been lost. So part of what we're doing with California African American Freedom Trail is we're expanding it nationwide to track all of those 2,000 communities, so that we are able to create the same kind of appellations that we have in the spirits industry, so that those appellations can be used to generate capital, as Markee talked about, capital access. So if you have a designation of an area based on its heritage, that becomes something that you can generate capital around. In central Brooklyn, we have gone from one part-time employee to 14 employees at Central Brooklyn Economic Development Corporation. I'm going to be up there Monday for the topping off of our new 10-story headquarters. And we've basically been able to brand Brownsville, which was the highest crime area in New York City. And we've had the steepest reduction in crime in the city. And we've brought in, probably brought in about $8 million so far for various projects. We just had a Black-owned restaurant chain and a Black-owned movie theater buy a building and start construction on the first sit-down restaurant in the area and the first movie theater in the area in 40 years. So we've made the community hot, and that's drawing in investment. So that's a strategy that can work in any community. So self-hate costs us about $2.5 trillion a year. So what am I talking about? So African-American aggregate income is about $1.3 trillion. So we started out as 3/5 of a person in the Constitution, but because we're 13% of the population and got about 4 to 5% of GDP, we're now about 42% of a person economically. So we're actually gone backward from the beginning. And so that's why we have established the goal of getting to 10% as a baseline, because all of our issues, whether it be health, education, criminal justice, or anything like that, all relate to the fact that we don't have enough money. We have a lot of money. Our aggregate income is 200 billion more than Saudi Arabia, is equivalent to Russia, but we don't have enough. And so we compare it to the Latino population. Their aggregate income is 3.4 trillion. And most of them have not been here as long as we have, for 9 generations. So there's two things that they do that we don't do. They buy their basic necessities from each other, and they trade internationally. So by creating these small batch manufacturers around our community attributes, we start to create products that we can sell to each other and draw tourists into our communities, like we did for Jackson Ward. In Jackson Ward, if you go to Richmond right now, you see the Black History Museum of Virginia in a former armory for the Black militia in the 19th century. And all those brownstones from 1840, they're still owned by Black folks because we had the presence of mind to make it a National Historic District back in 1979. So we're behind the curve for a lot of communities. A lot of communities have been gentrified, that sort of thing, but the history is still there. So, so we need to capture that history and start building product lines around that. The other thing that we're doing is building global supply chains. And with the 100 Cities initiative, there are 100 cities in Africa and the Caribbean that have 1 million population. So just think 100 Atlantas out there that are just beginning to experience urban life, and they're all looking to African Americans as their economic leader. And so we're matching cities so that we break it down from this huge 54 countries to, okay, well, let's connect San Francisco, which has expertise in water, with Cape Town, which is having water problems. And so we're doing that kind of matching so that individual regions, individual states are matched with corresponding areas in Africa and the Caribbean. And on August 31st, we're having International Day for People of African Descent in San Francisco, and we're having the African Union come out, the NAACP president, NAFIO, a number of organizations, trade, and we're signing some agreements to actually set up a formal process where we not only engage, but we actually train people in how to navigate international trade, because 90% of the efforts to date, even the year of return back in 2019, 90% of the people who try to pull something together fail because they don't really have a concept of the differences and the nuances of engaging in international trade in the diaspora. And as we've seen for the last 4 years at the Africa Caribbean Trade and Investment Forum, we've never tried to trade between Africa and the Caribbean and between Africa. And so it's a brand new thing. And so we have to really define what it is. And so we're working very closely with the 6th region of the African Union. That is the 400 million Africans who are outside the continent. We're setting up governance structures, and the goal is to have a one-stop portal so that individuals and cities and organizations can begin the process of really tying themselves to the motherland. Anybody who really studies African American history knows that the fight against racism has always been global. The reason that the civil rights movement worked in the 60s was because African countries were becoming independent and they were concerned about what it would look like over there. The reason that apartheid ended in South Africa was because the protests on campuses and the labor unions that refused to unload South African ships and the pressure from, put the pressure on Congress. So all of our biggest gains have been when we work together. And so we increasingly need to see ourselves as part of 1.5 billion Black people globally. That's what's going to change the narrative in terms of our politics. We can no longer let ourselves be pigeonholed as just another minority group. It's like, no, there are more of us than there are white people. So we need to think of things in that way. And
Hey, John, as you talk about that international presence, we talked I think I guess it was last night. I talked about our Global Opportunities Committee is in Africa right now. So we're actually what you're talking about. We're doing things parallel with what you're talking about. But last night you mentioned about your approach to doing business internationally and helping scale Black businesses, in on the continent and then coming back to America. Could you explain that very quickly?
Sure. One of our biggest issues that is tied to capital access is scale. So there are lots of opportunities where we never get a chance to be discriminated against because we can't compete anyway. We couldn't do the job if we wanted to, right?
Mhm.
So, just look at Citizens Trust in Atlanta, right? Um, so many millions in capital. We have 30 banks in Africa that do business in at least 20 countries. You have banks in Africa that are comparable to the New York money center banks. And so we have more to gain, and we're doing a Pan-African Financial Summit during the UN General Assembly. Myself and Senator James Sanders are pulling it together with the UN Development Program. And we're going to have the National Bankers Association, which is the Black banks in the US, and the African banks and the fintechs and all those folks together, because our goal is to have companies that have a footprint in Africa, in the Caribbean, and the United States. And
Okay.
that's where we begin to have the political impact
Mhm.
as well, because I'm in San Francisco, where you have all these billion-dollar Silicon Valley folks. They're using their money to buy influence in Washington. So we can go up and say all the things we want to, but unless we have people who have billion-dollar companies that have 100,000 employees, our message isn't going to get through. And so we have those entities in Africa and the Caribbean. And the advantage we have in, for instance, a couple of years ago, Ethiopian Airlines
Mhm.
started flying into Atlanta. Ethiopian Airlines is $7.6 billion in revenue.
Got it.
So, the Atlanta metropolitan area has more income than all of Ethiopia, but Ethiopia has an airline that draws $7.6 billion in revenue, which is more than any African American company. And so it behooves us to get Ethiopian Airlines to fly more routes in the United States. And then we can begin to shift our business and make them grow. And the last thing I'll mention is one of our initiatives. Two of our initiatives. One is Drink Black. So when you register with us, you get our list of 600 Black spirits firms. And I'll call it the Raquel list, right? And you can find out about tequilas and bourbons and wines and beers and all that sort of thing. And we're encouraging folks to buy all their spirits from Black-owned firms. So this is the first industry where we can completely replace
Mhm.
any, general market company with a brand that's Black owned, that's the equivalent quality, right? So we're saying between now and September 22nd, which is the anniversary of the preliminary Emancipation Proclamation, we're encouraging folks to only buy products from Black spirits manufacturers, right?
Okay.
The second initiative we have is Shop for HBCUs. And
Okay.
we have a partnership with NAFIO, our good friend Leslie Baskerville,
Mhm.
and the Black Shopping Channel down in Florida to get folks to sign up for that. And everything that they buy helps HBCUs. And Leslie mentioned that 8 of our HBCUs are in trouble now just because of some of the changes that have happened. So we're going to have to step in and really boost the kind of support that we give our institutions, because at least for the next 18 months or so, they're not going to be able to get the kind of support that they've gotten from the federal government. My alma mater, this is my 50th reunion medal from Howard University. They cut Howard University $64 million, right?
All right.
So
The Howard
we're going to have
University.
to step up and do that. So I'll put the link to go to sign up for Shop for HBCUs. And one of the reasons that's important is that with all the things that are going on, they all speak to the lack of respect for Africa and the lack of respect for African Americans. So the only way we can really break through that is to strategically use our dollars. I mean, we've gotten the wrong lesson from history. We've been told that our marching and our demonstration and our speeches are what got us our civil rights. But actually, all of the most successful civil rights movements have been economic. So Montgomery bus boycott was economic, right? And so the lesson of going back to my original statement in 1861 is that nothing could have been worse than the slave-holding states to break off and say we're going to keep slavery forever. But by 1863, it turned into the Emancipation Proclamation. And what did Black folks do? They coalesced into one united front. Now let's think about how difficult that was. You had 3.6 million Black folks in slavery, but from the beginning of 1863 to the end of 1863, they formed the Loyal League with 700,000 members and 4,000 chapters coming out of slavery. Got 209,145 volunteers for the Union Army. And because of that, they got the 13th Amendment, 14th Amendment, and the 15th Amendment. So if they could do that after 247 years of slavery, then we can all decide that we're going to have one shopping platform so that we begin to not just boycott folks and protest, but say, no, we're always shopping with our businesses, and we're always doing business in a way that supports our institutions. And if you want some of our money, you got to come to our platform.
Got it. That's good. That's a good.
We want to get 1 million folks to sign up for the Black Shopping Channel over the next few months or so.
All right. Great. Appreciate it, John. I did put your National State of the Black report in the chat, where everybody, you can go to that link, check it out. You can purchase that national report. That's a great report. We're looking forward to reading that report, John. Everybody, John is in the city of San Francisco right now. So, John, I think it's what, 6:20 there now. So thank you for getting up so early. You blessed us with some great information. The Black Walking Encyclopedia, y'all. That's John Templeton, the founder of the National Black Business Week, or excuse me, month. Month started out as a week, now it's a month. But thank you, John. Any quick closing remarks? And while John has some closing remarks, if you have a comment, you have a question for John, you have a comment about what we talked about today, you have a comment about something else in public policy, please raise your hand. We're into that section. We're going to go over just a few minutes. It's 9:21. Give us some very brief closing remarks, John.
The trademark title is the Journal of Black Innovation, National Black Business Month, and that's important because we have a monthly peer-reviewed journal where we're actually tracking the survey that we do every year, and we're tracking the progress. That's how we know that we can reach this goal by 2026, because we've been measuring it city by city, state by state for the last 22 years, and we know the moves that have to be made. So it's very critical to not only have the report, but to have the ongoing monthly report on what's going on around the country, because we can replicate all of our successes and everybody isn't starting from scratch.
All right. Thank you, John. Really appreciate all the great information, the history lesson you have given all of us this morning. Thank you for so much what you've done for National Black Business Week. We appreciate you. And John, I will be in touch very soon. I love communicating with you. Love getting those texts from you of those links to check out throughout the year. So thanks a lot. Really appreciate it, John. All right. You can stay on and listen. May have some questions. If you have any questions for John, if you have any comments centered around public policy, some of the talks or some of the topics that we have talked about, please do so. Raise your hand. We'll recognize you. But while we're waiting on someone to raise their hand, if it's going to be just a recap of what we've talked about today, New Politics Academy, we are looking for chamber members that are looking to run for political office, get into politics. Please email me. I think I've got a couple of emails already. Please continue to email me that you want to get in. We have a cohort that we're actually starting. Marlene, thanks for sending that great information over. Marlene is involved with New Politics Academy. Let's have a conversation soon, Marlene, about that. I know you are a former elected official, the first African-American elected in Gwinnett County. Thank you for your support of Public Policy Talks. All right, is there anybody out there that has a comment or a question? All right, the hot button, Raquel. I almost forgot about that. We still have time for that. If you were to read that hot button, go right ahead, Raquel. I know you have it on the screen.
Okay, all right, here we go. So, of course, we want to know where the members are. If you're an ABC member, please let us know. If you'd like to join, let us know as well. The question of the day is, as national political processes are being upended from federal grant freezes to DEI dismantling, how concerned should Black business owners be about the trickle-down impact of state and local contracting funding and business policies? And then your options are very concerned, somewhat concerned, not concerned, or watching and waiting to see how this unfolds. So please let us know what you think.
Yeah, John, a part of Public Policy Talks is collecting data from our chamber members and from Black business owners in general. And we want to portray this data as we talk to politicians, as we compile a report on what our opinion is on certain topics as it relates to public policy. So this is some great information that we have tabulated over since we actually started Public Policy Talks. On February the 1st of last year was the first Public Policy Talks. All right, everyone.
Morning,
Thank you for answering.
Markee is Melvin. I wanted to say a couple words if it's okay, brother.
Yes, please. Go ahead. President CEO.
Mr. John Templeton, always an honor and a pleasure.
What's up, my man?
Yeah, man, to have you share all that knowledge and wisdom. You're truly a treasure in the community. And I know for those who this was their first introduction to John Templeton, you see he's another powerful brother some of the things that you share. I have to take notes because I'm like, man, I hope I have your permission to use that when I'm speaking. Some of the things that you share. So I really appreciate you coming on to Public Policy Talks for the very first time. And I know you've been on Tuesday Talks, and you'll be on Tuesday Talks again. But I just wanted to say thank you and good morning to you out on the West Coast. Also, Markee, you mentioned New Politics Leadership Academy. So they are sponsoring the YEC's Next Gen Wealth Building Summit at the New Black Wall Street Market Saturday, August 30th. So they should have a table there, and so you can gain access and actually speak with them directly at that event Saturday, August 30th at the New Black Wall Street. Also, Hayden Singleton, co-chair of the Gov Affairs Committee, is doing a Gov Affairs networking mixer on, right now we're looking at September 4th. So we'll start promoting that. But New Politics is also sponsoring that so that you have access to them at that event as well. Looks like a really cool event that Hayden has put together. You should see the marketing for that soon. I think that's it, brother. I just wanted to shout out to Brother Templeton, no doubt.
All right. Thank you, Melvin. Appreciate that great information. The New Politics Leadership Academy, we're partnering with them, both organizations. So we're looking forward to moving this forward, everyone. John, thank you so much again for coming on. The time is 9:27. I've gotten a few more emails about some chamber members want to get involved in politics. So that is definitely great. You're going to hear more about that as the weeks come. We have to take over when it comes to public policy. We have to get heavily involved in this political process, from the electoral process to actually advocating for public policy that benefits our Black community. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to bring it to you. We're going to bring those executive orders when they are going to benefit our community. We're going to bring those executive orders to you, such as the executive order on 401ks being invested into private equity. So we're looking forward to that process and being heavily involved in that process. I know, Raquel, we should be at, yep, we're at well over 50% participation in that survey, the hot button question. So any comments that you want to read or any recap of that before we close out? It is 9:28.
All right, let me just get to the additional comments section real quick, and I will signal when I have it.
All right, everyone. Thank y'all for coming on for another Public Policy Talks. We're at the end of the show, and we still have people coming in from the waiting room. Come on in, everyone. All right. Don't want to go anywhere. I definitely understand when we have a person like John Templeton on that's actually giving us that history knowledge and relating that history knowledge to your business of doing business internationally. I know, John, I want to definitely connect you to Ricardo Burris, our chair of the Global Opportunities Committee. I know you have the major event coming up very soon on the West Coast.
That's August 31st at 3 p.m. Pacific. A lot of folks would probably know Dr. Amos Brown, who is Kamala Harris's pastor, and we're going to be honoring him. So it's definitely going to be the reunion of the beloved community, and it's something you definitely want to be part of.
All right, great. That sounds great. Sounds great.
All right, Markee, I'm going to read the top four, or the first four from the poll. These are the additional comments. So the first comment is, this is the time to be self-funded. We are being given the opportunity to use our collective money to take our business and communities forward. Our Black community is known for stepping in and supporting other Black businesses. I hope this not only continues, but amplifies during this time. We've been marginalized as a race since our inception on touching these shores. We've always overcame and succeeded. Nothing is different. We can be what we want to be. And the last one, we need to pour our energy into each other. Our government has a history of giving and taking away. We get affirmative action gone. We get DEI gone. This is a pattern. Okay, and that's the end of that. It's there's ellipses after it, so I thought there was. Let me see if there's more. Yes. This is a pattern, ... All right, back to you, Markee.
All right. Great. Thanks, Raquel. All right, everyone. I'm going to save this chat. I know there's a question about what is my email address. I'm making that attempt to put that in there before we get out of here. But thank you so much for joining Public Policy Talks. This has been another great Thursday to talk about public policy as it relates to you, to talk about National Black Business Month. Thank you, John. Really appreciate it. We'll see y'all on next week. Y'all have a great, wonderful, prosperous rest of the week and weekend. Take it easy, everybody. And I am putting my email in the chat. All right. Hit that dot. Get everything spelled correctly. Not able to.
Hey, Markee.
Hey.
Cassandra. I'm gonna connect with you. I'm gonna text you, call you after the call.
Okay, sounds great.
All right.
All right. All right, everyone. Y'all have a good one. We're in overtime. It's 9:32. We'll see y'all next time. Have a great one. Raquel, hold on one moment before you take us away. Go over here and save this chat on my computer. So, all right, because I see a lot of people out there. Thank you. Hey, Jessica Ross, what's going on? How are you out there?
I'm blessed and highly favored. How about yourself?
Doing great. Doing great.
This was a wonderful conversation. I learned a lot, and yay to the program. I see how we work. I'm here for that.
All right, great. All right, sounds good. Looking forward to you going to DC with us. DC fly-in September the 25th through September the 28th. That information is in the chat. If you want to go, we have a few more slots available as we go up and take over DC, have a major event on that night of September the 26th, that Friday night. Going to be at the USBC's national headquarters, the former BET headquarters. Looking forward to that process. John, are you going to be in during CBC week, or did you say you had somewhere to go? You had another.
No, the UN General Assembly. So we'll have our Pan-African Financial Summit right about the same time. But also on October 11th and 12th, I'm going to be keynoting the Lomé Peace and Security Forum in Togo. So I'll be after September, I'm going to be in Africa probably for about 6 weeks for that through the G20 summit.
Okay. All right. Interesting. Nasir, I see your hand up. What's going on?
Hey, how's it going, Markee? Just
All
had a
right.
quick question about the DC fly-in. Are we going to start having informationals for the people that are signed up?
Yes, actually, we have the informational session. You'll get some information for everybody that signed up on Wednesday, this coming Wednesday at 12:30. I know we're going to have two sessions that day. It's going to be the noon session, and I want to say that you'll have it in the email. It's going to be 7:30 that Wednesday night also. So we're going to start informing the ones that have signed up in more details of what's going on during the CBC DC fly-in for Atlanta Black Chambers and Advancing Black Businesses Foundation. So next Wednesday, we have our first meeting.
Awesome. Thanks, Markee.
All right. Have a good one. All right, everyone. Raquel, I guess you could take us away. It is 9:34. Let me see the countdown. We still have about 50 people in here. All right. Have a good one, John. We'll talk sometime soon.
Okay.
All right. All right.
Markee, just say the word.
The word. Let's go.
All right.
Thank you, Raquel.
See you next week.
Thanks, everyone.